Hello everyone, welcome to RoboticQA. So today we will discuss about the playwright.config.ts file and what are the different options available inside this one. Okay, so let's start with like in playwright config file. First we have this import statement, right? So in import statement we are importing two things actually, like defined config. Okay, so this is variable or object which contain all your test related configuration. Okay, anything whatever you want to do with test, like where your tests are present, you want to run in parallel, how many workers, what kind of report you want to generate, all these things are done using this define config object. And another we have a devices. Okay, so you can run your test in different devices like iPhone, desktop Chrome, desktop Firefox. Okay, so that also we will see, and all these are coming from the playwright test package, so I have to import it from the playwright test package. Now let's start with the define config. Okay, so to use the define config I will just define here default. Okay, define config, and inside this we have to just put arrow, and here we will write all our configuration. First we will see is the test dir. Okay, so what the test dir will do, it will look for the your test case location. Okay, your test cases location. So let me add it here, test dir. So here you will put where your tests are present, that folder location you will pass here. So I will just put test here. Okay, and if you see here in my framework, like I have two tests here, login spec and registration spec, and these are available inside a test folder, but I'm just giving test here. Yes is missing, right? I'm not giving correct path intentionally to check what is happening. So I'll write here npx playwright test, and let's see if playwright is able to run, and you see error, no test found, because playwright is not able to understand where your tests are available. Okay, and that's why it is saying no test found, because the folder is different, right? So let me add it here. Yes, now this is the correct folder, right? Now if I run it again, it will able to run the test cases. You see running all 6 tests, because my each file contains 3 test cases, total 6, right? And those are running here. Okay, so we have seen the first option, which is test related. Now let's understand another thing regarding the parallel execution. So how playwright work? Okay, so by default playwright test runs in a parallel. Okay, even we have not defined anything. If you see here, we are running it is showing 6 tests are running 2 workers. Okay, so how it works? So playwright, like by default run the test files in the parallel. Okay, so there are 2 files, so it is creating 2 workers. I'll talk about the workers also. So workers are like these are like processes. Okay, so you can consider these are OS process, and these are running independently. Okay, and these are orchestrated by the test runner. So they have their own environment, and the test which are running inside these 2 workers. So let's say my login spec is running in worker 1, and registration spec is running on another worker, right? They cannot communicate with each other. Okay, they cannot communicate with each other, and if there is a failure inside any test case, your worker will get shut down. Okay, so that like the workers is available to run other test cases. Okay, so it will get terminated. So default behavior we have seen, right? So let me show you on the screen how it works. So let's say by default test files only run in parallel. Okay, and the test available inside these files, those will run in order. Okay, so let's say in this example, just now we have run, there are 2 workers created, worker 0 and 1 consider. So what is happening here? So in worker 1, my first test from first file will start. In another worker, another test case will be taken from another file. These 2 are from different file. So you see login 1 is started, login 1 is ended. So it is sequentially happening. So login 2 started, login 2 ended. So in one worker, it is going in sequentially. So worker 0 has taken one spec file, worker 1 taken one spec file, and both the workers are in parallel, but test case inside these are in sequential mode. Okay, so what we can do, let's say I want to run even test case also in parallel. Okay, even the test cases inside this file also in a parallel. Okay, so what we can do it, we have to use a fully parallel equal to true, and let's see what happened. So second parameter is fully parallel equal to true. Okay, so now I just added fully parallel equal to true, and let's see now how many workers it create, and you see there are 6 workers are created. Okay, there are 6 workers are created for all the 6 files. So if I go here, if you set fully equal to true, it will create 6 workers. So all my tests are like each test is running in each worker. They started and ended. So login 1 started, login 1 ended, login 2 started, login 2 ended. And if you see, the time got reduced also, right? It got finished in a very less time, because this fully parallel is taking care. Okay, it is like creating the workers also dynamically. Okay, but what will happen now, I have like 6 test cases, so it created a 6 workers here. So what I will do now, let me take some other files also I have here. Okay, I'll just copy and paste inside this folder, and now I have lots of test cases here, right? And let me run it. So totally I have, each file contain 3 test cases. So 1 2 3, so this 7 8 and 9 into 3. Okay, but if you see, there are 27 test cases, but still it is utilizing 6 workers. Why? Okay, it is still utilizing 6 workers. Okay, so there is a logic inside a Playwright which will take care, okay, how many workers it should create to run your test case in a like smoothly. Okay, so it cannot create a test workers like 27 by default. Okay, it will create a automatically based on your CPU cores. Okay, your system is capable or not, that Playwright will take care of it. You don't need to worry about it, and automatically it is taking 6 workers. Okay, so that's the logic behind this, like how this fully parallel work. Okay, but now you understood, right, what is happening here. So it take care the workers automatically. Now, so first scenario we have seen, by default Playwright run test in parallel. Okay, and it will create workers also dynamically. Let's say you have 2 files, it will create 2 workers, and inside that your test will run in sequentially. But when you make it fully parallel, your inside test cases also will run in parallel. Okay, now here is the challenge. I want to utilize 27 workers. Okay, even it is not good idea, but because it will put lots of load, so I'll just put workers 27. So what we are doing, we are overriding the workers here. Okay, we are asking utilize 27 workers, and you see here it created 27 workers now. Okay, and all my tests are running inside 27. So each worker is running each 1 test cases. Okay, so that's how like the worker concept work. So we can override also, but if you don't provide the workers, system will take care how many workers you should create based on CPU core, and by default it will run spec file in the parallel, but not the test cases inside that, so that we can use this fully parallel thing. But there are scenarios in which you don't want to run your test in parallel in specific file. Let's say I have login spec, I don't want to run this in parallel. Okay, so what you can do, so there is an option available, test dot, okay, describe dot parallel. Okay, and inside this one you can pass. Okay, so here test dot describe dot not parallel configuration, and in bracket you can add a mode. Okay, mode equal to parallel. Okay, so now my this file will not run in a parallel, but other test will run in a parallel. Okay, so these are the like different scenarios. So I have two specs again, and let me revert the workers also, or even like if you comment also, because I have this playwright parallel equal to true, and if you see here, it created 6 workers here. Okay, but inside my login.spec I have defined it parallel, so again it created 6. Okay, so there are different modes available inside the mode also. Let me try another. So we have a default also, default mode, and let's see what happened now. And if you see, only 4 workers are created. Okay, so only 4. So there are 3 tests here inside my registration. For that 3 it created, and for login it created only 1 worker, so total 4. So the test are, if it is default, the test will run in a sequential mode. Okay, so my test will run in a sequential mode, and there is one more like serial also. Okay, so that is again it will create a 4 workers only. So my test will run in sequential mode. So if you see here, 4 workers are created, so my tests are running in the sequential mode. Okay, so you will think like, then what is the difference between serial and default? So the default run and serial, both are like different. Even if you see here, it is like, it look like same. So default, let's say your test 2 is failed here in this file. So if it is a default, it will still continue the execution with the next test cases. Okay, but if it is serial and if your one test is failed, okay, it will stop there, it will break there, it will not execute next set of test cases. Okay, that's the difference between serial and default. And anyway, like parallel is still there, so if you want, like you can run the test cases in a parallel mode. Okay, so we have seen different scenarios here. Let me cover the next scenario, which is related to forbid only. Okay, so let's see what is forbid only. So I'll just write here forbid only, and this option is only for the CI. CI means if you are using GitLab, Jenkins, GitHub for test case execution. Okay, but let me tell you what is the meaning of this one. So let me write process.env.ci. Okay, so what will happen if we put this parameter? Okay, so there is a concept. Let's say I want to debug this test in this file. So what I will do, I'll just add test.only. So what this does actually, if I now run, there is no change, right? Totally it should run 6 test cases, but now if you see here, it is running only 1 test case. Okay, so this if I use test.only, it will run only this test case. Okay, it will just keep all the test cases. This is just for a debugging purpose. And if I accidentally push this code to the GitLab will fail my test, or CI will fail my test. Okay, so if you see here, I have run the test cases, all my tests are working fine here, right? It is green. Okay, means all my tests are running fine. And now if I push with this only, let's see what happened. I'm just pushing this code with only, and now it will trigger another pipeline, and it will fail because of this option, because I added this forbidden only, and accidentally I kept this option test.only, which is generally we use for debugging purpose. Okay, so pipeline will take some time. Meanwhile, we'll see the other options. Okay, so another is retries. Okay, so this is again available when you want to retry the test cases. Process.env.ci. okay, colon. Okay, so this is again available for CI only. So it will do the retry, like you can specify how many times you want to retry. As of now it is set to 2. So if your test is failed, it will retry in the CI/CD pipeline. Okay, so let's understand the different kind of reports also we can have it. So I'll just add it here reporter, and if you use reporter, so we have different things here, like we have HTML, so we already seen it. So this is the default one. So what it does is, like the HTML reporter, this produces same self content folder, okay, and it will generate the HTML report to open in the web page, okay. So this is the default one, and we have already seen, like whenever we run the test case, let me run the test here. Let me change the parallel thing also, so that my test will run quickly. Parallel, and now when I run the test here, and at the end you will see this is generating the report also, okay, and we can open that report as well. So if you see here, it is giving the option, last it is serving the report, and if I open this link, it is showing the report one test failed, okay. So intentionally I'm just failing one test cases from this login. So if you see, I added failed here, okay. So just to demonstrate what is this report, okay. So next we will see the line report is there, okay. Let's see what is the line report. So we just need to write here line, okay. So I'll share that link also, where all these are available in Playwright documentation. So line report is more like concise than the list report, okay. It uses single line to report the last finished step and print failure when there is a failure option available. So let's see practically like how it look actually. Now if you set the line, so now you will see, so you see the failures, if you see here, which is printed in between, okay, and after that also some test run. So whenever it fail, it will just print inline report. This is failure are reported in inline, okay. It is not reported at the end also, okay. So and when it print at the end, so let's say I want to print this report error, whenever there is error in middle also, then you can use a list. So what list does is, list will print the report at the end only. So let's say if I do the list, now it will run all the tests, including failure also, but you see failure is printed at the end, and you see all the tests are showing here, and all the exception is coming to this line, okay. And then we have dot also. So let's put dot here, do clear. So dot reporter is like we can pass it, so all these reporter worker, all the configuration we can pass from terminal. So I'll show you that also. So what will happen in this example, output in the middle of the test run, okay, failure will be listed at the end. Again here also the failure will be listed at the end, but if you see what is the difference, so if you see here, it is not showing, so it is just printing one line, okay. So for one line, okay. So if I put here HTML and run it, you will see the difference, okay. Now if you see, it is showing the file name also here, you see registration spec file, but in this .1 you are not able to see that, okay. Indeed these things, all the grayed out things are not displayed here in the dot reporter, okay. So based on your need, you can choose what report you want to utilize, okay. So there are a few more reports available, like blob, JSON, JNet report, okay. So and there are like custom reports also. So I'll make separate video, but I hope like this parameter is clear now, like what is the use of this one. Now coming to the another section, which is use, okay. And this use section is used to set some global variables, okay, global things to your test, okay. So what are the things? Let's say base URL. So what we are doing, so without this, if I want to navigate to some application, to website, let's say remove this failure also now for time being. In my test one, I will just use the page fixture. So I already created the video on what is fixture, you can go and watch in my playlist. So page dot go to, and here I can pass the URL https://google.com. so my each test want to navigate to this application, then only I have all the test will run. Let's say I have dependency, so this is the first step. It should run launch the Google. Okay, and it is required in all the test. So what we can do, so now also it is navigating to Google, but we are not able to see it here. The reason is it is running in headless mode. So if I add parameter headed, you will be able to see the browser also, and you see the browser is visible. It is navigating to Google and it executed all the test. Okay, so why it failed? Because we have to add a await also here. Okay, and because we are using async, we have to add await also, and that's the reason it failed. But no need to add it here. Okay, no need to add it here. You can put it globally inside a use. So if I create use base URL, and I can pass my URL here https://google.com. okay, and now if I run my test, it will still launch the browser. Okay, again it is running in the headless mode, so we are not able to see it. Okay, so if you want to collect some trace, okay, so when you want to collect the trace or debug, you can use the trace actually. Okay, and the value of trace on first retry. Okay, so this will collect the trace when trying the failed test case. So we have to fail the test case again because we don't have failed test, so I'm just intentionally failing it. And now let me run. Okay, let me run in UI mode, then you will be able to see the trace actually or inside the. Okay, so here why it is not showing the any file, because this is useful only when like you are running in the CI. Okay, by so in the retry will not trigger in a local by default. Okay, so retry will not trigger the by default. Let me check where we have seen that retry also. So if you see here, let me make it 2. Okay, and let's see if it work in local, because we have one failed test, and we should be able to see that if it is doing retry. Okay, but in CI it will do the retry also, and you see retry happen. And now if I go to my report folder, and you will see the trace is generated here. Okay, trace is generated here, and we have to open this trace folder with the help of trace viewer command. Okay, so there is a show trace command. So if I terminate here, npx playwright, and we have show -trace, and we have to give the path to this trace folder. So let me see where it is available. It's inside Playwright report. Let me type here Playwright -report, and inside that trace folder, and what is the file name? Okay, I think that's it. But even like we can open using the index file also. Okay, so if I open the index file, it is giving me the path actually. So let me paste it here. Paste. Okay, why it is not pasting? Okay, npx playwright show report, and this is the path. And if I run this command, okay, it says some port related issue in my system. Okay, but it should work. Okay, it should work. It will open the trace actually to debug your test case. Okay, so we have seen different options here. Okay, so if you want to know more about what else is there, we discuss about the devices also, that is still pending. Let me cover that, but we covered this forbidden also, right? Let me see if that test is failed or not. And you see the test is failed because we added the forbidden. Okay, because you see item ports with dot only is not allowed, forbidden option. Okay, so that's all about this option, forbid only. Let me cover the project option. So comma and then projects. So we can use the array here because we have different projects here. So let's say name. First I will take care of Chromium. Okay, CHRO Chromium means Chrome browser. Okay, and then you can pass use colon and in bracket, okay, devices desktop Chrome. Okay, this is the one. And let me try other also. Let's say I want to see in a different view also. So how we can do that? Let me check again. So anyway, like similarly you can do for browser, Firefox, WebKit also, but I'll cover the different one. Let's say name colon, I will test inside a mobile view. So let's say mobile Safari or Microsoft Edge. Okay, instead of Edge, let's say mobile Chrome. In mobile view I want to test it. So then in use you have to pass the device actually. Okay, 3 dot devices and in bracket let me add pixel 5. Okay, so this is a spread operator actually. 3 dots is spread operator in JavaScript. Okay, so now let's run the same command again, same test cases, and let's see. Okay, again it is running in headless. Let me add parameter headed. And you see this is mobile view actually, pixel 5. Okay, so it run in both the viewports, right? Pixel 5 also. So similarly you can add different options there and run your test case. Okay, so we have seen projects also, and you see the devices also used now. Last I will cover, which is web server. Okay, web server. So when you want to run something before your test start, let's say your test start depends on some local server and I want to start that server using like npm run start. Okay, you can change this command also, I'm just giving example. And then use existing server and sorry, not that one. And whatever the, let's say my application is launching on server like http :/localhost and the port, and that's how like you will be able to use the server. Okay, so what will happen here, it will run this command before your test execution. It will launch the server and we can use this server to run your test cases. Sorry, not to use, it's URL. Okay, so this is the syntax of like how to use this web server. Okay, so we have covered all the basic configuration available in playwright.config.ts, and we understood like how parallelism work in the Playwright. I hope this video is helpful. So if you don't want to miss the videos, I'll be creating this Playwright series. Please subscribe the channel. Thank you.